All right, everyone. So today we have Christopher Wyatt on the show again, and I'm excited because we're gonna have a little fun and talk about the things that we want to talk about, and not what other people want us to talk about. So, Chris, can you just give a quick little introduction of who you are?
Sure. My name is Dr. Christopher Scott Wyatt. I am a college professor here in Central Texas. I am neurodiverse or neurodivergent, depending on your preference. Um, I suffered brain trauma and some physical injuries at birth, so I have partial paralysis of the right side. Uh, the neurological damage expresses itself as being on the autism spectrum. I also have ADHD. I am the father of 2 wonderful, uh, daughters who are also, living with ADHD, learning disabilities, autism, and so, we're a neurodiverse family, like most families. I don't think any family is not diverse, and, the reason that I was really excited about today is we had talked about the question that we get, whether I'm speaking in public or you're doing the podcast, we both get asked, you know, how do you avoid feeling bitter or sorry for yourself? Or people will phrase this in different ways, but
Yeah.
what it really comes down to is why aren't you angry? Like,
Exactly. Yep.
well, why would I want to go through life angry? That doesn't sound fun.
Amen.
Yeah, and I think our too many of our community members, our fellow advocates slip down into that dark place of society's not nice to me. No, it's not. People are rude to me. Yes, they probably are. Not every business is accessible. No, not every business will care. And so they go down this dark path of everything that's wrong in life. And I think you and I we've chatted about this. You and I have found paths to success or whatever you wanna call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
uh, house, home, food, clothing, those things. Uh,
Yeah.
and I don't think either of us goes through life feeling like, "Wow, the fates really hate me. Life is miserable." Uh, Obviously, we show up. We do our podcasts, we do our speaking, and this idea that we should wallow in self-pity, I was just really excited when you asked about talking about it as a just kind of a chat because, man, life is pretty darn good for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here in my house. You're, I assume, in a safe place.
I'm in my house. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yes, I know other people aren't as fortunate,
No,
but
no, and I look at that too. It's like, okay, yeah, I was born with cerebral palsy. No, I can't run a marathon or run at all without falling down. But, well, there's other stuff that I'm really good at that a lot of people can't do. So, that's how I look at it. It's like, what can I do? Let's not look at what I can't do. Let's see what I can do.
one of the, one of the social workers that I have had the privilege of meeting and talking to about disability was commenting on being self-aware, and too often when we tell people be self-aware, what that becomes is what are your weaknesses?
Mm, mhm.
Oh, what aren't you really good at? And you need to admit it to yourself. And and I'm in of the mindset that a lot of people told me what I couldn't do. And so really for me, self-awareness is the opposite. It's like, "Oh my gosh, you're an autistic professor?" "Yeah, yeah, I am." What's your point?" "Oh my gosh, you're partially paralyzed and you played baseball and you go skating and rode a bike and stuff?" "Well, yeah, up until I couldn't. Yeah, enjoyed it while I can." So I don't understand the negative self-talk being helpful. And when people
It's
say,
not.
"Oh, know yourself." they always mean the weaknesses, and instead, I think you know your strengths. That's why you're able to do the podcast. I know that
Uh-huh,
I can teach. Do
uh-huh,
I think of myself as the world's best teacher? No. Do I think of myself as, the best at something? No. But darn, I have a lot of fun.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm right there with you. I look at what I can do. Look at my strengths, and I use my strengths to help me in life. You know, I'm creative. I'm good at getting attention. Therefore, I started a marketing agency to help other businesses get more attention. And that's going really good. So for me, it's just like everybody can do more than they think that they can do, and everybody can definitely do more than what other people tell them they can or can't do. So to me, it's just stop wallowing, stop playing the poor me game because it's not going to help you at all. Not one bit. So just accept yourself, love yourself, and live your life the best that you can with what you have.
Yeah, I think that sums up the conversation in just these first 6 minutes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what has happened, but in the autism community, if you go onto public spaces like Reddit or
Hmm.
Facebook or one of those social media places, it's all negative. Um, if you go to some of the places with palsy issues or other issues, it's all it's all very toxic. My oldest had surgery this summer. She has 2 rods in her back and 22 bolts, right? And she is also on her school swim team. She's in band. She's at band practice tonight. Instead of looking at it as, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to have this back surgery and I'll never be able to do anything again," her first question is, "Can I get physical therapy? Will I be able to get back into the water?" Obviously, there are sports she can't play. But swim works really well when you have back issues and other things. Um, she goes with her strengths, right? I mean, she doesn't sit there and say, "Oh dear, I can't do track and field," or "Oh, I'll never be a great basketball player, volleyball player." It's like, okay, I'm going to go swim. And I think that part of it, she's young, right, and
Hmm.
resilient,
Yeah.
and she hasn't been beaten down. But the other thing I'd like to think is that my wife and I demonstrate just through our daily lives um, that we can do things. And this tendency that I see on social media is not helpful. If she went online and she looked up back surgery, she'd be petrified. Uh, All the horror stories. That's what people post, right? They post their misery.
Yep.
Happy people aren't online. They're living.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, I'm on the line, but that's. I'm showing happy things. What I can do. The fun that I'm having. I'm giving advice to people so they can become happier themselves.
And I think that, you know, that's w that's what I miss. Yeah, I would love to, pick up some of my podcasting time, that I currently just don't have the flexibility to do. Um, but one of the things I miss is having guests who would talk about what is possible. This whole, "Okay, this is what it means to have, a learning disability," or, "This is what the schools are, and schools are traumatic and horrible places." I agree. Schools could be better. I definitely agree, and I could talk a lot about what needs to change in education or what access businesses could do to help us be better employees. But all that said, I don't I don't think that's my life. My life is getting up and uh, thankfully being able to drive my daughters to school, to pick them up in the afternoons when I'm not teaching, to go places with them and see things with them. Um, that life is a good life. And it doesn't matter that we're not billionaires or whatever. Um, like I said, we've got a house, we've got The car that can get us places, life is good. And I think that those people who get stuck in the social media trap of, look at all those happy, wealthy people, look at all those perfect bodies, look at all those perfect brains. Um, okay, my mind is not perfect. My body is not perfect. No, oh well, I and it's not a matter of consigning. It's not like I say, "Oh, I give up." No, it's some things will take me longer and they'll take more effort.
Yeah, yeah. A, a lot of things take me longer than it should. you know, you want a good laugh. Watch me put my socks on in the morning. Something that is simple for a lot of people is pretty difficult for me. But do I think about that when I put my socks on? No, I just do it. You know, however long it takes is however long it takes, and that's just my life, and I'm cool with that because I love who I am. I love what I do. I love the things that I'm capable of doing because there are a lot of people that can't do what I can do, and it's just why should I live a lesser life just because I have cerebral palsy? I don't. I just figured out my own way to do everything. And guess what? Sometimes that's asking for help. And that's okay. You know?
I certainly wouldn't have what I have without my wife
Hmm. Yeah.
and my friends and family. Do I have a large network? No, right? Socially, my wife and I are somewhat isolated. We're not extroverts. We're not good at marketing or anything like that. One of the aspects of being autistic is my social struggles with, eye contact, vocal tone, some things like that. Um, but the friends I do have are in the support networks that I have. Uh, I recognize it when I ask for help. Those are people who will mentor or give me assistance. Um, I don't understand, I guess, the defeatist attitude all around us right now. I understand things are bad for a lot of people. I get it. The economy is hurting for a lot of people. It is difficult if you're disabled, especially if you're like me, you're over 40 or over 50 even. This is a tough time. I get it. But you can't let the outside world shape your self-image and your outlook. You just can't. If you give up,
Yeah.
if you give up, then you're easy to overlook and get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're constantly thinking about how bad your life is, it's not going to get any better because what you think about and talk about becomes your reality. It does. And when you're constantly looking for bad things to happen, they happen more often. And you actually see the world differently. And I know this because looking back 6 years, I was a fairly negative person. And I went through a lot of books and podcasts to improve my mindset, and that helped me a ton. And the cool thing is my whole world changed, but the world didn't change at all. I did, and I was aware of what I put in my mind, what I talk about, and the things that I see in the world. And I guess some part of me, I'm kind of blinded to the negative stuff because I don't want to see it. So I just look for the positive, and I live my life to the fullest, and I don't let other people bring me down. And I see a lot of people out there that do let others bring them down, and you just get in this spiral of going down, and eventually you get to a point where it's hard to get back up again. And I just I don't get why people. It seems like they want to live like that. It seems like they like the negativity and, everybody should feel sorry for me. Why? Why?
I look back, so, um, it may have been only 2 years ago, but it seems more recent in some ways and not. The I started to get headaches, which are not uncommon because I've had the frontal lobe damage, and I've always had migraines. It ended up being a subdural hematoma, so bleeding on the brain. And, obviously you end up in an ER, then you end up in an ICU for a week or 2, neurological ICU. And, the doctor told me most people don't come back from something like this. When you have these conditions, whether it's, uh, as I said, whether it's traumatic, head trauma or brain injury, or in your case, the cerebral palsy, every day I have is a day that I might not have. It's a day that there is a chance that I did not get up, that I did not, have speech and mobility and those things again. And I know that my body has its weaknesses. So each day when I get up, it's like, cool, I've got the kids, I've got the house, got my wife, and this is all good. Does that mean we change things a little bit? Yeah, we certainly make contingency planning. We have, the emergency contacts. My wife knows where all the doctors are, right? I mean, you got to. But we don't sit there and dwell, okay, today let's run through all the things that could go wrong. Right? No, right? I mentioned um that we're recording this in October, which is fall break for me. Instead of taking the break, I'm actually trying to catch up, with grading and paperwork and those things that a teacher does. And you know what? I'm actually pretty lucky to have a job that for the most part I enjoy. I don't enjoy paperwork. I don't think anyone I don't think anyone does, right? Filing grades.
Yeah.
But man, I'm doing what I love. I'm talking to students. I'm learning from them. Um, I get to be the old guy in front listening to them and hearing their ideas. That's a good life. And the things that are difficult, we talked. My wife and I lived in Minnesota for 5 years. While we were there, I had multiple eye surgeries because I have a degenerative situation, throughout my body, but it really, the base membrane dystrophy affects my eyes. Basically, the layers of the eye separate. And that
Oh,
happens
really?
in other parts of my body, but in my eyes, it was really bad during winters because it would freeze, right? I mean, it's cold in
Mhm.
Minnesota. So
Yes,
I
it
would end up
is.
with a lot of corneal tears, a lot of eye damage. So I had at least 3 corneal scrapings, 2 laser surgeries, right? So and I was losing my vision. And my 2 children both have severe myopia, severe in the gosh, one's negative 4.25, 4.5, and the other's in the negative 5 range. Legally, once you get to negative 6, there are questions about whether or not you can even get a driver's license. Now, we could sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, not gonna be able to drive or not gonna." No, you just figure out where can you live that has mass transit? Where can how would you make these adaptations? Is it inconvenient? Yeah, if you lived out in the country by yourself, this is not gonna be a survival mode. You're gonna,
Mhm.
unless you can shop entirely on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you have a challenge, whether it's vision, mobility, whatever it is, yes, you have to make some changes. You do. Do I like living near Austin? Yeah, I'd rather live further out. But the reality is if I have a medical situation, I do want to be near a hospital. That's reality. For my
Yep.
children, we need to be around their supports, their doctors, the back surgeon, the other things that they need.
Mhm.
Um, they're trade-offs, but yeah, yeah, I'm willing to make those trade-offs. We just take our trips out to the country or to the beach, and it's like you said. You're planning a future and, you'll travel as you want, be where you want. Do you have to make some sacrifices? Sure,
Yep.
but gosh, it's not a reason to hate life.
No, no. It's so I've been, I just turned 34 about a week ago. And but by the way, if you look at statistics, I expired because the average life expectancy for somebody with cerebral palsy is 30 years old. But like you're saying, am I like sitting here worrying that I'm gonna die? No. Like I've lived a great life. I take care of myself. That's the biggest thing. Is yeah, I don't care who you are. If you take care of your body and your health, well, you're gonna expire early. You know, that's just how it is usually. But for me, I've lived with cerebral palsy for 34 years now, and there's for me, there's so many times during the day that I completely like forget I have it because it's not something that's put on my mind all the time. I just go about my day like I have been for 34 years, and it's just this is just how I am. People that they do get a disability later in life, and I do think that that would be harder mentally because I think like you know what you were like compared to how it is now. What are your thoughts on that? I see a lot of people that do get hurt later in life, and they just kind of give up on life altogether. It's sad, you know.
I understand. I do. I can sympathize with someone who's a musician and goes deaf, or someone who needs their dexterity, like a musician who loses motor control, a painter who loses vision. I understand you're losing a big part of your identity, M- but I always say, when I was doing more public speaking stuff, that the autistic me isn't all of me, right? The disabled me isn't all of me. But I think what happens is we choose 2 or 3 things that we are, and we cling to them, right? We cling to, "Oh, I'm a writer," or "I'm, uh, you know, a woodworker," or, whatever your profession is, "I'm a teacher." If tomorrow I couldn't teach, would that bother me? Yeah, it certainly would. Um, but I would find some other way outside of the classroom to do or express myself. Now, if I lost something like, if I'm an artist and I lose my vision, I certainly understand that you've lost your identity as an artist of that type. Um, but I wonder, could you learn? Could you adapt to another form of art? I don't know. I don't know. But I think if you get stuck on one identity when we as people are so many other things,
Hmm.
and you have to find strength from those other things. If you lose one of them, you find the others.
Yeah,
But it's not
exactly.
easy. No, I certainly understand. Someone who's in a car accident and suddenly is in a wheelchair, um, that's a major shock, right? It's suddenly I'm in a wheelchair. For those of us who have had to use arm braces or wheelchairs, it was actually a bigger adaptation for me to not have my cane. Uh, when it's hard to explain. It became part of me, right?
Yeah,
Walking
it
with the
does.
cane.
It's like a comfort thing. It becomes a comfort thing. You kind of feel safe with it. I used to be in a wheelchair when I was young, and then I started walking. I always use a wheelchair, like at stores or in school until I graduated high school. After that, I would use like the little scooters at the stores and whatnot, just for longer distance walking. When I like after high school when I didn't, need my wheelchair, it was weird because I didn't have that like support system, that if my back hurts, I can just hop in this and I'm okay. It was now if my back hurts, I just gotta tough it out and keep pushing. So yeah, I think it's like a comfort thing.
And I part of why we moved, we relocated was my body just the cold and my body were not getting along. Like I said, my
No.
eyes were separating.
Mhm.
I was having problems walking. I don't know how many, my wife would joke, which bone did I break that given year?
Wow.
And moving to a different climate was not something where it's like, "Oh, yay, we get to move to Texas." Uh, no, I mean, we left friends, we left, good things behind, but my body is doing so much better. And is it a sacrifice in some ways to leave friends and security behind? Absolutely, but it's so much better to be able to go for a walk with my kids.
Mhm. Yep.
It just is. And so, if something happened to me tomorrow again, where I was back needing the cane or um, I know that my right arm is now more problematic than it used to be. Um, but if it suddenly stopped entirely, yeah, that'd be a shock, right? I
Mhm.
know its limits now, but if it suddenly tomorrow stopped working, that would be a shock, and I know it would, it would be frustrating, but how we cope with things, I think, is social too. If society keeps telling us, "Oh, you poor thing," right? And then you tell yourself, "Oh, poor me." Eventually, all that negativity builds up, and you can't see the dozens of good things versus the one bad or the two. Could the bad thing be horrible? Yeah, trust me, the subdural hematoma, the idea that I could have, stroke out and lose speech or lose memories or whatever, yeah, that's scary as all get out, right? To be in an ICU with, your brain not working properly.
Yep.
Uh, I understand that. I mean, dementia scares me to death. The idea that, we get old and we lose our memories, gosh, that I hate that when I see that in friends and family as they get older. But we all get older. We all get older so we can sort of prepare for some of the things that I tell my audiences, we all become disabled. Very few of us reach 80, 85, 90 without a disability. Usually, we at least need glasses by 40. You know, I know it was for me, it was like 36, 37 needed glasses, right? We all get, I don't know. It's like our warranty runs out, right? The body just gives up with time anyway. So
Yep.
those people who look at me and say, "Wow, he had a hard time walking even when he was in his 30s or even when he was in his 20s or his vision was bad early from whatever." Um, yeah, but eventually they will catch up to me. Their vision will
Yep.
go, their memory, so
Yep.
we all end up disabled in some way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
dwelling on those instead of celebrating the good, I think is a cultural thing. I think you and uh, I think you and I understand that we can create businesses as disabled individuals. We can do things. We can make things happen,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
we don't have to just be passive victims, or
Yeah.
just we don't just need to sit there and let the world do things to us.
Yeah. And oh, dude, so many people live like that when they do have some sort of disability. They just, I mean, I'm sorry, but they live on the government. They don't do anything for themselves. They don't go out and do things that make them happy. They just kind of live. And it's just, to me, I think that's boring. You know, I just, I've been there. I have lived off the government when I was younger. And I very quickly realized this is not going to give me the life that I want. So let's get out of bed and go to work. And that's what I did. I I worked in the same industry for almost 19 years, and it's like just do something. There's a lot of people that can work and they choose not to, or they can work and their family won't let them because their family gets their benefits, and I don't like seeing that.
And there's also the fear.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. It's scary.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get a job and then I'm going to lose the job or I'm going to not be able to do the job or I won't be.
Hmm.
There's a lot of I won't, I can't.
Yep.
Um, and as I said, the whole reason I thought this was a great topic is, how do I motivate myself? How do you motivate yourself? Um, Not everyone has a good friend network or family network. I understand that. And making friends is difficult. But I do have, my wife and my kids. When I go to work, I have great students. They're not my friends. They're my students, but there they are and they, they're there every time I have class and they're looking forward to, doing the work and getting the grades and moving on with their lives. Um, I don't know. For me, knowing that I can get up and do things each day, um, I'm not one of those who's going to linger on, "Oh my gosh, I wanna be in bed."
Yeah.
W
Yeah.
I I just don't wanna be in bed. I wanna feel at the end of the day that I did something.
Yeah.
Eh
No, there are days where, hey, I just want to be in bed today. That's cool.
but, and it doesn't even have to be accomplishing something big, right?
No, no.
For we went down to the beach, and someone will say, "Well, how is that an accomplishment?" Well, for me, driving 4 hours is painful, right? It's horrible, right? But to get there and then to, be at the beach watching my kids play, um, seeing the joy on their faces as they went to the roller coaster and the log ride and the carousel and all those things that they have at a beach pier. Um, yeah, was it a few hours of discomfort? Yeah. Was there a part of me that like, wow, this is miserable? Yeah, but once we got there, I reminded myself, you're doing this for them and for you. You need to see this joy. Um, Life is not, I read today, life is a stormy sea and you have to choose how you're going to navigate it. Well, okay, everyone's life has bumps. It's always in turmoil. But if you don't take the adventure, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a saying that I love, and it goes like this, something like this. I'm not gonna hit it right on the head, but something like this. It's hard to be poor. It's also hard to be rich. It's hard to be unhealthy. It's hard to be healthy. It's hard to make a lot of money, and it's hard to not make money. It's hard to have a good relationship. It's also hard when you don't have a relationship. So choose your hard. That's what life is. We get to choose our hard, and a lot of people, they choose the hard that is not going to help them. I choose the hard things that are going to help me because I know that life can either be easy now and hard later, or hard now and easy later. That's how I look at life. So for me, what that means is I'm choosing every day to get up and do the hard things that are going to build my business, build my relationships, build my life up. So then down the road in life, I can enjoy my life better than if I chose to just, live on whatever income I can find and just kind of relegate to life. because then later on, things are gonna be a lot harder. And for me, it is hard to exercise. There's a lot of pain that's involved. It's hard, it's exhausting. My body uses 3 times the energy of average people. So for me, it's hard. But if I didn't do that, my body would deteriorate faster, and my life would get a lot harder. So I choose that hard because it's better overall.
Yeah, I like that. We choose the that we choose to navigate those rough seas. We choose the hard. Um, I know that we are also both individuals who have had jobs that other people may not think of as glorious, right? I've worked in the garden shop, landscaping type businesses. I've dug holes for money, literally dug holes in dirt. I know you have your CDL,
Yep.
your
So
driver's license.
I was in the waste removal industry. That's the nice way to put it. I was a garbage man for 19 years. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that I was able to retire recently, and that's nice. I like to say that I retired, even though I work more now than I did before. But
And, it's just I think there are people that, we talk to and they say, "Well, I don't want that menial job. I don't wanna work fast food. I don't
mm,
wanna, sweep a floor. I don't want."
well,
Well, okay.
you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, it's just I think part of it, I frequently believe that a large part of success or survival is showing up, putting in the effort, right? I tell my students, if you at least do the minimum work, you're gonna get a C and pass. The only way you're not gonna get a C is to not turn anything in. I just, generally based on what I teach, it's show up and do the daily activities and you can get a C. Now, I have those students who choose to get an F, but that's a choice. It is a choice to miss more than 5 classes. It's a choice to miss or not take more than, 3 or 4 quizzes. It's a choice. You show up, you pass, you get to go on with life. And is it unpleasant to go to school? Oh my gosh, I got to go to class. I don't want to go to class. Sure, it's not pleasant. It's hard. Yeah, but you're choosing your hard to have a job,
Yep.
to become what many of my students go into, nursing, engineering, whatever it is. And those are hard paths. Absolutely. You've got to go not just for your undergraduate degree, but then your certificates, your training, engineering training, your nursing licensure, whatever it is. No, these aren't easy paths. And your point is, what would
Yeah.
you expect? I mean, short of being born into a royal family, what did you expect?
Yeah, there's nothing easy. It's just not easy. Even if you're born into it, it's still not easy, you know?
Yeah, my
It's
my
just
my wife just read, was it Prince Harry's book, Spare?
oh, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that you're right. And even if you're born into a royal family, then you're performing for a whole world watching you.
exactly. That's
So
not easy.
you're right. It's never easy. It's just a different form of hard.
Yep, yep. And, like, you know, I worked for, like I said, 19 years, and it was hard. Now I have my own business, and it's harder.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a fact. This is way harder than just going and working and having that paycheck every week. Now it's like, am I getting paid this week? Am I gonna make the house payment this month? Am I gonna be able to buy food? And luckily I've been doing pretty good, so it's been pretty good. But there's still like a lot of stress going on because I have to get up and do the work. Where when I have the job, oh, I'm not feeling good. Sorry, can't come in today. You could do that. I don't get that luxury. But what I do get is I get my own schedule where I can schedule time off whenever I want. So, you know, you, the good outweighs the bad, even though it is harder to do this lifestyle of being an entrepreneur versus a W-2 job, but I like it.
And I think that's key right there is we can't control personalities. There are people whose lives are good, but they are miserable. And there are people who have everything thrown at them, and yet they're happy. And you can't really teach outlook. I don't think I can teach students that they have to work hard and they'll be happy or something. But what I can say is those people in our communities, our disabilities communities who wallow in the online toxicity of social media, uh, the Reddits, the Facebooks, the X, the Blue Sky, whatever it is, you have to ask yourselves, why are these people online? They're online because they're not out there doing. Now, if they're a content creator, obviously that's different, right? Creating
Yep.
content, doing something fun, sure.
Yeah, doing what I do. Yep.
But if they're out there just posting each day, oh, life is miserable with autism, life is miserable with a palsy, life stinks when you've had back surgery, whatever it is, I just cannot find myself interested in r- r- reading those. For a while, I would go to those forums and I would reach out and say, "Hey, life's not so bad. Here's some ideas," because I made the mistake of thinking, "Oh, well, here's a post that says, if you have autism and difficulty driving, how do you cope?" So I made the mistake of thinking that people wanted answers.
No, they don't.
They
No.
don't. They want other people to say, "Oh, it's tough for me too. I hate it."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. They
I
want people to confirm what they're feeling or thinking.
yeah, it's the, like we started with, it is this assumption that we have a right to go through life bitter. I am disabled, so I can be angry. Well, you're just gonna be angrier and angrier and angrier because no one's gonna
Yep.
wanna be around you. And then you're gonna be upset
You
because you have
know,
no friends. And then you're gonna be
yeah.
upset, it's just it's gonna snowball.
Yeah. I had a client, I'm not gonna say names. I'm gonna be very vague with this one, but they fired me basically because I was trying to improve their mindset around their disability. Because they were like that. They were so negative. They'd go to like these rallies and protests and talk about how bad it is for people with disabilities. And they wanted me to help them start like a group to just be negative about everything that they can. And I wasn't having it. And they hired me as a coach. As a coach, I'm very honest with what I talk about and what I try to help with, and they just didn't like it. And like I tried for a couple months to help them see the good in their own lives, and just nothing helped. And it's just sad because people get so wrapped up into the negative that they don't even want to see the good in anything. And so it's like, how is that a way to live?
And I'm not going to dismiss, like I said, I know there are problems in our schools, right? As a
Oh
parent,
yeah,
I
yeah,
see problems with IEPs and 504s. I see that as a teacher, as a college
yeah.
instructor, I see that. But being angry, a lot of research shows that anger and violence don't really change things. They actually lead to
Mhm.
the opposite effect. If you're
Yep.
yelling at me, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to get defensive. But if you come to me and say, "I really want to learn. I want to succeed. Can you help me?" That's a very different attitude, like you said, asking for help instead of, "I can't get into your store. The ramp is too steep. You suck." Well,
That's not gonna help you get in the store.
yeah, as where if you say, "I really love your pastries. I love your store. I would love to be able to come in myself instead of having other people come in for me. Is there something we can work out?" You know, I don't know what it'll take, but to get a ramp or to get better access, a wider door, whatever it is, instead of immediately going to, "I'm now going to sue you out of business."
Yep. Yeah, like, why?
Those 2 approaches, you've gotta take the better approach, right? The better approach is, "How can I help the school help my daughters?" My wife and I, we write to the teachers and we say, "Okay, our daughters have some special needs. How can we help you teach them?" Not, "No, you better do this." Well, if you start with conflict, you get more conflict.
Yep. You do. Yep.
And I understand right now a lot of people are angry. I get it. I do. Socially, there's a lot going on I disagree with. Um, and I understand people wanting to protest and march and whatever. I understand, but let's think about where change really happens is we've got to elect new people if we want a new policy, right? If I want to change my city, but I don't vote, all I do is complain. I'm going to go protest City Hall not doing something. Well, the first question I'm going to ask that person is, did you vote? Well, no. Well, then hold on here. You're angry. And maybe what you're angry about is a good thing to be angry about. Absolutely. Maybe the sidewalks aren't safe. Maybe the parks aren't getting fixed, whatever it is. But then if my next question is, did you vote? And your answer is no, I have no power. I have no agency. I'm just little weak me. I'm disabled me. I'm whatever me. All I can see are negatives. And now I'm going to go be angry about these negatives. We all have the power to vote. We all have the power to, well, look at today. We can create a podcast. We can create a
Yeah.
blog. It doesn't cost anything if you go on Blogger or Substack, or you and I can start a Substack, and
Mhm.
sell subscriptions. Maybe someone pays, maybe someone doesn't. Um, but like these protests, I get it. People want to know they're not alone. They want to go protest for whatever reason. I don't care about the politics underneath it. What I'm saying is, I get it. There are times people protest. I get it. But is that going to lead to constructive change? Because when we lived in Minneapolis, a lot happened, right? A lot has gone on in Minneapolis. I hate to say it, but all these years later, has anything really changed?
No, no,
No.
no, no.
But if you elect different leaders, if you participate in the system to change the system, as a disabled person, if I'm going to complain about school, and I do, I complain about school all the time. So what did I do? I became a teacher. If you want to say that disabled people can do business, you became a consultant and an entrepreneur. This wallowing in self pity, the world hates us. These big, powerful, rich people are going to destroy us. It's like, I, I, I I tell my students, I mentioned this today to someone. The movie Bug's Life is the old famous story of the ant and the grasshopper,
I love that movie
right?
as a
We're the
kid.
ants.
Yep.
We're the ants. There
Yep.
are lots of us. There are
Mhm.
lots of us workers who have small businesses, and some of us are disabled, and we are different in various ways. Um, and we have privilege in other ways, right? I'm a white guy, living in the suburbs. Life's good. Um, but you can't get caught up in all the negative. You have to start saying, okay, I can vote. I can go be a teacher. If I don't like healthcare, if you hate our healthcare system, go become a fitness coach, go become a nurse, go become an expert. Change the system. Don't just throw a fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having meltdowns and throwing fits, I understand. I do. But anger eats us from within.
It does.
You wake up, if you were to time how long it takes you to put on the socks, and it gets longer each day, and you get angrier and angrier about how hard it is to put on socks or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. But then you have that person out there who said, "You know what? I'm having a really hard time putting on shoes," and they invent the slip-on. Whoa, hold on here. That's a much better solution than being angry.
Yep.
You know, it, a lot of us who have mobility issues or stability issues, for me, I can't use a mouse, right, easily because I trimmer. The stupid pointer goes everywhere. It's like, oh, jeez, right?
Yep.
Uh, it, 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 it dances across the screen. It just doesn't go where I want to click. I click on who knows what, right? I delete
I feel
files
that.
and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
right. I mean, So I use a trackball. Well, all I can think of is, man, whoever invented this trackball or whoever invented this other technology that I use something called sticky keys, mouse keys.
Me
Um,
too. I use
yeah,
that. Yep.
whoever invented these things is much better than just I hate mice, I hate Windows, or I hate the Mac. Okay, then sit down and change it.
Hmm.
Become the
Yeah.
change, not the anger. The anger is just good for you. You're angry. I don't want your anger. I don't need your anger unless you're going to harness that anger to say, here's a problem, we need to solve it. It just I don't know. That's why I was so excited about today is you and I think we share that. You became a driver, right? You had
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't sit there and say, "Ooh, I can't drive." No, you adapted. I don't know if you had any adaptive technology in the cab.
So I'm very stubborn, and I don't use anything adaptive that I don't need.
Okay.
So I learned how to drive just without anything because I didn't want to be limited on what vehicle I could drive because I'm a I'm a car guy, to be honest. I currently I think I have 9 vehicles right now. So
Wow.
getting adaptive equipment into the 9 vehicles, that's gonna cost a lot of money. So I didn't wanna do that. So I did learn how to drive just a regular vehicle, and I can drive semis and anything I want. And it's kinda weird because I got my first vehicle when I was 11 years old on the farm. On the farm
Oh, yeah.
kid. So I learned to drive very young, and I quickly learned that whether I'm driving a vehicle like a car or a four-wheeler, snowmobile, dirt bike, for some reason, something happens when I'm in a vehicle or on something. It's kind of like my disability disappears because as long as I'm not like actively thinking about what I have to do, like actively thinking about pulling the clutch on the four-wheeler or something like that. If I just do it, my hands work normal. Like right now, like look at this hand. It is a fist right now. If I want to open it, I gotta like fight to open. But yeah, if I get on a four-wheeler, this is also the hand that you use your thumb to operate the throttle. My thumb will just magically be just fine and operate the throttle or pull the brake in on the side. So it's like it's so weird how your body can do amazing things if you believe in yourself enough to make it happen.
And I think in the end, that's what we're really saying is this: y- give yourself the um, permission or whatever you need to do to think about what you can do. Stop with the long lists of everything we can't do. Like you said, none of us are going to be NFL players. I mean, right? My body, not nope, not going to be a professional athlete. With my brain and its processing deficiencies, I am not going to be a Jeopardy contestant.
Me either.
Right? I mean, I couldn't hit the button
Yep.
if I wanted to. Buttons just what
Yep.
is a button thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, my wife is always telling me we do puzzles on our iPhones, and she's always telling me, "I beat your time." I'm like, "Well, that thanks, ha ha." What? You couldn't hit the letters? No, I can't hit the letters. I know the word. So sometimes she'll read me the clue, and I'll do the crossword that way with her. But
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
sure, I'm not going to win speed contests. Processing
Mhm.
speed, no. Vision, no. All these things I could right? We could all list these things. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're disabled or not,
Mm.
right? We're not all gonna be neurosurgeons or physicists or whatever. But you found what you love. I found what I love. Every disabled person, every normal if you normal, I don't even like that word, right? But
No,
there I
but
slipped down that
that's
slipped
I
down that road.
I said it too here and there.
And I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, man." But all of us have our flaws and our weaknesses, and so what?
Yeah. Just Live your life where you can lean on what you're good at. That's what we're saying.
Yep.
Lean on the good in your life. Stop leaning on the bad. Just lean on the good,
And I
you
think
know?
it's this was a fun discussion because it's not like, oh, here's where to go for advocacy and here's where you go for an IEP and gosh, as a college instructor, here's what you need to succeed with neurodiversity. Um, really in the end, what you need is trusting yourself. You need a positive attitude. If you have a positive attitude, I can guide you. If you don't have a positive attitude, everything I do for you, you're going to whine about.
Yep. Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%.
uh,
And like I help business owners, and the first thing that I do with all of them is walk them through some mindset training. I help them improve their mindset. I help them believe in themselves enough to make things happen. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to accomplish what you actually want to accomplish. And a lot of people out there, they might be sitting here thinking, I don't have anything that I want to accomplish. Okay, I've been there. I know where you're at. And what I did, and what I know a lot of people have done, is if you don't know your purpose in life, you should wake up every morning with the the goal to find your purpose in life. Find that reason why you should get out of bed. Find that one thing that you're good at, that one thing that you love, and then pursue that. Because I can tell you firsthand that once you have a purpose, your life gets easier like magic because you're excited. You want to do things and you want to improve yourself.
I certainly enjoy every day I get to go to the classroom and every day I get to be a dad.
Yeah. See, there you
Yeah.
go.
And yeah, that bitterness, it's hard to let go. I think that's why we did this episode to say, yeah, we know it's hard to let go. But if you don't let go of that bitterness, it will eat you alive. And that's not a life I want. It's not a life you wanted. And it's not really a life we want for other people with differences.
Yeah. Yeah. Like my purpose in life is to help people that don't believe in themselves become better and to transform into the people that they actually want to be, even if they don't know it yet.
And I think that's great work. And I'm so glad you do the podcast and everything you're doing. So thank you, Nick.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I love it because I've already changed a lot of lives, and it's cool because one of the people that I've helped a lot, I actually know him, and I see him here and there, and to watch how his mindset has changed around who he is and around his disability, it's just incredible because now he's happier, he's doing things, and it's just really cool.
And now it's our chance to go out and do some things.
Hmm. Yep, it is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This was a great episode, and I want people to walk away knowing that it's okay to dream. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay with whatever condition you have. It's okay. That is okay. Let's go out and live the best life that we can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.